Alright, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, all the glory, and the honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, elders of the great millstone that rule well, that taught us his truth. Blessings to the elect and the nation and the remnant of Israelites who are scattered worldwide, who are predestined to be saved. This is Brother Yakao coming with a short video, and Lord willing, your brothers and few sisters will be edified. And ourselves would do a video to update you on the rioting / looting / disorder / uprising that is going on all around the UK. It's not just England, it's going on in Northern Ireland as well. And we'll just show you a brief clip about the background to what's been happening, because two Edomite little kids and one other kid who I think was Hispanic, actually, I'm not sure. They said that they were killed, by a young man. Now, this is an allegation. Remember, this young man has been arrested. Apparently they were at a Taylor Swift dance class. All right, which basically proves that this, for me, I believe this is a psyop. But it doesn't matter whether it's a psyop or not. A psyop is an operation that governments do to get a reaction. All right, and usually, they do it for different reasons, to divide and conquer, but also to bring in laws that take away people's rights. All right, you can look that up for yourself. All right, all you have to do is put psyop in Google. All right, and it was started by the United States. All right, now here it goes. Psychological operations are operations to convey selected information and indicators to audiences to influence their motives and objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of governments, organizations, groups, and large foreign powers. All right. So they started this a long time ago, for example, and it goes back into history because Nero, who was one of the Roman emperors, it's well known that he got his men to burn down Rome, and he blamed it on our people, the Christians, and they started massacring our people. All right, so that's what a psyops is, psychological operation. I believe this is all that, but let's give you some background to what's been happening, and we're going to come back. All right.
Violence has been blamed by Prime Minister Keir Starmer on far-right activists and groups organizing themselves online. Individuals, rather than organizations, seem to have been driving the protests, almost all focused around migrants. Mosques have also been targeted. Migration has been a leading topic in politics and media in the UK for several decades, with some newspapers and politicians carving out a hardline stance. The last Conservative government had planned to deport illegal migrants to Rwanda, a plan dropped by the new Labour one. So, why has there been such a widespread and sudden upsurge in violence? And how have politics and media affected attitudes on migration? We'll be discussing this with our guest shortly, but first, this report from Victoria Gatenby.
Riots by far-right protesters have spread across the UK, sparked by a series of murders in a seaside town in the northwest of England. 3 girls aged 6, 7 and 9 were stabbed to death in a knife attack at a children's dance class in Southport. Police arrested a 17-year-old boy who was born in Britain. But users on social media falsely claimed he was a Muslim asylum seeker. Newly elected Reform MP Nigel Farage was criticised for speculating whether, in his words, the truth was being withheld by authorities. A mosque in Southport was attacked by a far-right mob.
Local communities are being thrown apart, and these people from outside are coming and literally destroying the mosque. We've spoken to the imam from Southport. He said he had to barrage and lock himself inside the office with his other members who were in the mosque at the time. They were afraid the door was going to be broken down.
In the days that followed, the riots spread. In Hartlepool, in the northeast of England, a police car was set alight. And in London, London, crowds pelted the gates of Downing Street and fought with police officers. That prompted the Prime Minister to hold an emergency meeting with police chiefs.
As far as the far right is concerned, this is coordinated. This is deliberate. This is not a protest that has got out of hand. It is a group of individuals who are absolutely bent on violence.
But despite government warnings, disorder has persisted. In Nottingham, officers were confronted by far-right protesters. In Hull, a crowd demonstrated outside a hotel housing migrants, and disorder broke out in Belfast. Campaigners opposing racism were also out on the streets, saying those spreading hate and misinformation must be stopped.
We fought them in the 30s, we fought them in the 50s, we fought them in the 70s in Britain. We will not allow the right wing to dominate our working class communities, and we will come together every week in every town and bring the message of solidarity to all the people that have come to our communities.
Only a month after being elected, the new Labour government is facing a national crisis, and the Prime Minister and Home Secretary are having to focus on stopping violence across the streets of the United Kingdom. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera for Inside Story.
So there you go. There's the background to it. All right. Now, about a couple of months ago, all right, an Israelite child, all right, an Israelite child was attacked on the way to school in East London and killed by a cracker. All right. And there you go. That's his picture. All right. His name was what? Daniel Andurin. All right. Only 14 years old. He was, and the killer was this white guy with a sword. All right. Now, did you see the so-called black community come out and start rampaging around white towns? All right, going to churches and all white churches and petrol bombing it? No, you did not. Did you see blacks go around targeting whites and beating the shit out of any white person? No, you didn't. This was a child. All right, but now when one of theirs is killed, and by the way, they've been, and you have to understand that a lot of these people that are pundits and in the government, they stirred this thing up because they started to put on their social media that this guy was a Muslim, an asylum seeker, etc. So because of this tragic death, which I believe is a psyops anyway, this is all bullshit, all right, they actually started to go outside. They went to Southport where these murders happened, all right, and people from outside that town went there and basically went to a mosque and tried to burn it down. The police had to defend the mosque. People were barricading themselves in there for safety, and then it spread. Middlesbrough, I'll show you this. Now, Middlesbrough is let's get the map of the UK. All right, UK map. All right, let's get a map of the UK. All right, and when you look into the map of the UK, all right, you've got here. What's it called? Let's see now. You've got in the northeast here. All right, you have a place here called Newcastle, which is a major city, but just below it is a place called Middlesbrough. All right. Now, Middlesbrough is mainly a white town, but in many recent years, last 10, 20 years, it has a lot of blacks, Asians, so forth. They've got university, people going to university there, etc., etc. All right. And it's a very deprived area, and it's got problems with knife crime. And unfortunately, the knife crime is crackers killing crackers. All right. What they did in this town was shocking, man. Not shocking to us in the truth, but they went around and they went to a street where mainly blacks and Asians lived, and they smashed every house along that road. They even broke doors down and tried to get in there, you know. So this is getting very, very dangerous and very, very serious. And now when there was rumors that the far right, because it's far right groups that have been organizing this, were gonna go to Birmingham to a place called Alam Rock, which is an Asian Pakistani area. Okay, so the Asians got ready. They tooled up. They were around. They're wearing masks and balaclavas, and saying, "No, we're gonna defend our mosques." And look at the reaction of some of the media. They basically tried to make out that these people were thugs. So, and by the way, the people that have been doing these riots, they're basically scum, vermin, But guess what? Many of the people in the media are sympathizing with them. Oh no, they're genuine protesters. You can't call all of them far right, this, that, and the other. All right. Now, I think this was in Birmingham, but there's one in Middlesbrough. I want to show Middlesbrough. Where is it? Middlesbrough. All right, because what happened there was it's bad, man. And some Israelite children got hurt, because when you are in your living room and a brick comes through your window, and it smashes your window, that brick, the glass can go into your eyes, man. All right. So it's a very dangerous time, but the Bible foretold these times that are happening, man. All right, so this is in Middlesbrough, and see, look, throwing rocks through residential, and these are all black, so-called blacks and Asians. Look, this is your house, man. You see? Smashing windows, smashing doors down. Look at this. Look. Smashing up businesses. Anything that doesn't look like them. They were smashing it up. Alright? Anything that doesn't look like them, smashing it up. And in fact, these people are so stupid. They actually smashed up people's houses that were white as well. That's how mad and stupid they are, man. Alright? And basically they are using all of this as an excuse to do violence. Okay? It's nothing. Now, I want you to hear, alright, one of the people that called in on LBC. But let's get a bit more background to this, because this woman actually explains things very well.
Dystopia warning, obviously. As many of you will be aware, there was a horrific incident in Southport just a few days ago in which 4 young little girls, BB King, Elsie Stankham and Alice Da Silva Aguirre, all had their lives taken in a brutal way. Their dance teacher is currently in a critical condition along with a number of other people. You'll also be aware that afterwards violence broke out. A town reeling from young girls having their lives taken by male violence had to deal with their communities being smashed up by renter mob and endure yet more male violence. Almost as if that's actually the problem, isn't it? Early on after the incident, the Telegraph decided to reveal that the boy's parents were from Rwanda, even though he was British born. Then the speculation started.
See, now, why would you do that? Remember, the previous government, the Conservatives, said that they wanted to ship people who are asylum seekers to Rwanda. But yet, this guy that does this horrific attack, he's born in this country, but his parents from Rwanda. I mean, can you listen, we're not ignorant to Satan's devices, But let's continue.
Arabic-sounding name was invented. Then all the usual hate mongers started circulating that, along with what is widely considered to be Russian disinformation. There were former, GB News presenters, rejects, people like Tate, Tommy Robinson, and Reform MPs, whipping up a frenzy online of hatred and anger, despite their assumptions having no factual basis. Now, what I'm interested in is the cause of this. How did we get to this? You see, much of the hysteria about immigration is entirely man-made, generated by the right and the far right. It's not a case of attitudes organically changing. It's attitudes being deliberately generated and moulded. With a new Labour government that says it's committed to public service, not self-service, many of these people feel that they're losing their power, what power they did have, very quickly. We no longer have a Prime Minister or ministers wanting to whip up division and hatred. In fact, Starmer made a statement tonight that was focused on collaborative effort, dealing with the perpetrators of the crimes, and calm. You see, the reason why the Tories and other opportunists like Farage created this hysteria around immigration, much of it relates to the pursuit of money and power, or the retention of it. The Tories did this to generally deflect from their own appalling record of corruption and criminality. Braverman referring to pro-Palestine marches as hate marches, open Islamophobia, Lee Anderson, openly Islamophobic, taken in by Reform, who push a Islamophobic, bigoted message every day. The message they seeded was foreigner equals bad or foreigner equals criminal. And they put this message out via a number of methods. Number one, their private school mates in the media, happy to spin a yarn for a backhander or a favour. Two, the echo chambers of what I call dimly lit telly for thick fucks, GB News. Their attempt to try and create like a British version of Fox News, but it doesn't fly because most people listen to the BBC. On GB News, them lot are inexplicably given a platform and paid huge sums to essentially use their shows as propaganda outlets, despite many of them being elected members of Parliament. How this is allowed, I do not know, but it's contributing to the problem. Now, they're very careful to keep their hands clean, but a number of them not their noses, if rumours are to be believed. They get around getting arrested for incitement by, well, being rich and going to private school, but also by claiming that they're just asking questions, you know, the Republican handbook. But what this ultimately is in my view, stochastic terrorism. Stochastic terrorism is targeted political violence that's been instigated by hostile public rhetoric, which is directed at a group or an individual. Unlike incitement to terrorism, it's accomplished by using indirect, vague or coded language that allows the instigator to plausibly disclaim responsibility for any resulting violence. Sound familiar? That applies to people like Farage, Lawrence Fox, Darren Grimes, Katie Hopkins, Tommy Robinson, Andrew Tate, the list goes on. Which brings me neatly onto conspiracy theories. The last government failed to curb them, both the theories themselves and the prominent theorists. And why? Because they wanted people to believe anything. Because that benefits them. And then what do you get? A narrative carefully constructed, a scapegoat systematically generated, an angry mob mobilised, and then a catalyst for all hell to break loose. It's the Bannon playbook, an ironically imported construct, but it's fine because it's from a white Western country, so it's palatable to them. It's no coincidence that him, Hopkins, etc., are all in bed with Trump. You see, it's very profitable to all that are involved in generating it. But it's the public who have to live with the consequences, the risk of death or injury from the hate crimes that ensue, when public order inevitably breaks down. And in this case, the people that had to bear the brunt of it were a community that had just lost 3 little girls in a violent crime. They had to face bust-in Tommy Robinson supporters carrying crates of tinnies, coked off their nut, destroying their local community.
And by the way, the people that came in to Southport, where these 3 little girls allegedly died, were bussed in. They were not from the local area. So this woman is exactly right. This has all been created. So they use coded phrases, just like Donald Trump. He uses phrases. Well, he was blatant. He said, when Mexico send their people here, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're doing crime, they're rapists. And then he goes, I suppose some of them are decent people. So you have that in America, but what you have over here in the UK is this guy on the screen, Nigel Farage, Lawrence Fox, there's a channel called GB News, always sticking up for whites. Doesn't matter what crime white people do. They are always sticking up for them. They're always making excuses for them. And I'm going to show you an example in a clip. But let's get a scripture, because we have to understand this. This is Lord willing, this is the stages for martial law, Jacob's trouble. You know, these are the kind of things, the signs that show you that this is coming very soon. Now, will this lead to that? We don't know. But the Bible says to do what? It says to what? To watch as well as pray. All right? As well as pray. All right? Watch for what, man? All right? Okay? Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. All right. So when all this chaos is going on, we have to watch the news more intently. All right, to see the prophecies that are going on there. We have to watch it also to make videos to warn our people. So there's a saying in Christianity to get prayed up and stuff, but prayer is a big part of it, because those poor people over there in Middlesbrough who were Jakes and other minorities, they're just sitting in their house, and 20-30 young white kids, young men are going down the street and smashing every house they can get their hands on, their cars, everything, and it's not like they got a lot of money. Okay, so the temptation in this scenario is to go out and retaliate, and we can't be like that. All right. So we have to watch as well as pray. Watch for what? The prophecies, man, and pray for protection in these times. There was major, and this shows you how wicked this place is, man. How wicked this devil is, man. All right. This is Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, all right, the people rejoice. The people are not rejoicing. Even this white man's own people are not rejoicing. But when the wicked beareth rule, and the wicked are ruling, the people mourn. See, because when you're wicked, you have a wicked mindset and wicked intent. And that's what they're doing. They have stirred all of this. Guarantee you, and this is the guy, he's a right wing, he's an MP now. He's a clown, but he's an agent on the left-hand side. The Lord is using him to stoke up racial division, because in the Bible, one of those prophecies, all right, is race riots, man. Okay. All right. So you have to have a lead up to these things. And for the last few years, they have been stoking all of this thing. They've been blaming illegal immigrants and migrants for every problem in the UK. And you know what this reminds me of? All right. It basically reminds me of the Roman Empire when it was falling. That's all it reminds me of. It reminds me of that. Now, this is a channel, Talk TV and GB News. These are right-wing channels, and they are the scum of the earth. And the people on there are scum. All right. The presenters are scum. But watch this. This clip, this white man is on there. All right. And he's just telling the truth. And look what she does, the presenter. She just takes him off air. Let's have a look at this. All right.
The governments are frankly dangerous is because we have a situation that is clearly mushrooming out of control. It's not being quelled. And when Sir Keir Starmer turned around first time and said, far right thugs.
And yeah, they are far right.
Online, to me, demonstrably looked like quite ordinary people. Started posting their photos and doing hashtag, I'm a far right thug and so on and so forth. And as Tim and I were discussing earlier, when you talk about far right as a political concept, they're normally people with matching shirts and a manifesto. When this started as people with ordinary concerns. Now, after the backlash,
look at his face. He's like, what?
Language, he then went on to do the same again. And to me, and I want your opinion on this, to me in doing so, what he did was further anger and alienate people who are using, a crisis in this country as an excuse to carry out the most awful violence and thuggery and behaviour that defiles our flag, frankly. These people need to be locked up. They're monstrous. But it also, I think, suspected, who were picking up in some instances weapons and forming mobs.
And the reason why they did that is because there's a rumors that the far right was going to go to an Asian area in Birmingham called Allen Rock to attack the mosque. So what do you want these people to do? They're going to defend themselves. All right. So this is totally out of context, but that's the devil for you. Let's continue.
So actually, far from making the situation go away and calming it down, I would suggest that he's thrown an accelerant onto the fire. Do you think he's handling this well?
I think he's handling it fine. I'm very, very, very confused by the concern in some quarters of the media, including yourself, about the terminology far right. Why do you have an issue with that being applied?
Well, okay, fine. Okay,
They are far right.
Actually, let's do this. Tell me, what is far right, and especially related to what is going on here? Explain far right. Give me the definition, please.
What's this?
It's quite self-explanatory, but it's far to the right of the political axis.
That will explain it. You say it's self-explanatory. Yeah. That's tautological. That's like saying two twins. What is it? Explain it, list it, identify it, give it a shape, give it a texture so we all understand what you mean when you're using those words.
So it's a political ideology, obviously, and it's people whose political ideology, and like the far left, there'll be many different elements of it, and there's many different kind of variants of far left.
That's right.
There's people who will agree with each other and disagree with each other on the far right.
Do you think these people kicking in windows and acting like hooligans have a political ideology?
They do.
Some of them, of course they do.
Of course they do.
The EDL is a political organisation.
Some of them, Alex, you do see them making Hitler Nazi salutes.
There you
Some
go.
of them actually have swastikas tattooed onto their
This is
bodies.
I
There you go.
get that.
Yeah.
But when people
So you're telling me that people that are doing Nazi salutes are not racist and far right? This is incredible, man. See, any excuse. All right? Any excuse. You know why? Because we had riots in 2011 when they killed a young black guy called Mark Duggan, an Israelite guy. All right? And that started in Tottenham and it exploded. And then people used that as an excuse to fight the police, which, to be honest, I had no problem with. But then they used that as an excuse to smash things up, do criminal damage, and to loot stores. All right, that showed me that our people are gone, man. All right, one of your people is put to death by the police in police brutality, and they didn't even have the audacity to even tell his family. His family had to learn. People came to his family on the street and said, "Listen, the police have shot Mark," and then it snowballed and it went from one city to another, and people started looting and smashing up stores. This is wicked behavior, The Bible makes it quite clear. It says what? Follow not a multitude to do evil, man. All right? The Bible makes that quite clear. So anyone that's in his truth and all of this stuff is happening, all right? Let's say you're in England or the UK and this stuff is happening and you want to go out there and get your camera. Just stay at home, man. I said that when the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protest, and I'll say it again. Stay at home. We are not normal people, man. We're Israel. We're God's chosen people. We're candidates to be a part of the elect, to be a part of the remnant that will be saved, that will be beamed up into the chariots. We are not there to partake in these protests or engage in all this civil unrest bullshit. All right? Hell is coming anyway. All right? So why look for trouble? All right? This is Exodus 23:2. And I mean that, man. This is a message to anyone that believes in this truth. You ain't supposed to be partaking in any of these protests or these unrests. Oh, I just want to go out there and film it. You can watch it on the news. I ain't going out there. I ain't going out there. They've got police dogs there. There was a stupid cracker that went out there and he tried to fight the police. And people behind him were throwing bricks at the police. Guess what happened? A brick hit him in the head. It was one cracker threw a brick at the police and it hit another cracker in the head. And then another brick hit him in the balls. It was hilarious. So Exodus 23:2. thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. So you're not supposed to be following these scum, these vermin, all right, to go out there and start loot stores and smash up cars, all right, or even if it's these crackers come into your area, to provoke anything, leave it to other people. The Lord has put it in the minds of other people to go out there and face these people. Stay in your house, man. All right, and pray to the Lord. Pray that in these last days that we'll be protected from these things, man. And anything that comes our way, the Lord will be with us and favor us. All right. So thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. So you're not supposed to be following a multitude of people to do evil, to go and loot stores. They're looting stores. They smashed up. Oh, they went to a library in Sunderland and burnt books. What was the point of that? What's the point of that? Going to a library and burning books in a library in your own community, man. And then they have this saying, riots are the voice of the unheard. Yeah, many times. But these crackers have been heard, man.